I'm not a big fan on making these reactive reacts. It's a little bit, what's the word, unoriginal. But there is a case scenario for informing, being aware of what's happening around us. And there's a lot happening right now. From FBI not providing the full list of information that has been requested based on Mr. E.P. Stein's list, to currently a lot of people being misinformed in the mainstream media on what's going on with the actual functionality of Doge, what Doge is trying to accomplish, how w- there's a couple of things I want to mention, but there is a video right now circulating through Asmongold based on what's basically happening. There's a lot of protests, and we're gonna go take it apart a little bit, piece by piece, and observe the details in between. So let's get started.
Anti-Elon rally. Uh-oh. People mad about President Elon Musk? Is
Yeah.
that it?
You look at my gray hair, you think I probably don't listen to rap music, and you're right. But I heard about the slogan for
Okay.
the podcast, and I thought that is the right idea. Elon Musk, he not like us.
And that's a Kendrick Lamar reference.
Okay, like catchy, I guess. But when you're just running based on catchy things and you're not taking apart the details into more functional functional reasoning, then you're just a follower. You're just following whatever the trend is. And trends tend to be not your friends. I'm sorry, trends change all the time.
I wouldn't know. I know it's a rap music reference. How
Yeah,
does the
great.
rapper say it?
They not like us.
They not like us. The billionaire shouldn't be able to tell all the rest of us what to do.
Stop the billionaire coup.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I know.
How do you do, fellow kids? I know, it's so
How
funny.
do you do, fellow
Elon
kids?
Musk is literally raiding our government and destroying our country.
Wow.
That's the one illegal alien that we have to get rid of.
Meanwhile, Trump and Musk's efforts to expand the power of the executive branch and slash the federal workforce continue.
What they're doing is illegal. He is not a government employee. 300 employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration were fired.
It's a coup.
It's a bunch of unelected billionaires who are ransacking our government.
This really does look like
This is the first time that's ever happened, by the way.
Like, consider that. When it happens in front of your face on X, being informed by what's happening with the process, then people get mad about what's happening, about the government actually being, I mean, being observed, being taken into accountability, being audited, right? And they're saying that he's not qualified individual to do so. Okay, fine. They're ransacking the government is their perspective. Not auditing, but ransacking. I don't think any of these people have heard of Citizens United, where lobbyists and small corporations, CPACs, were given even more power to influence the government through financial means, through corporation donations. Okay? When it's done under the table, no one seems to care or notice. But when it's essentially the good version of the process where we are observing the corruption, all of a sudden now it's a bad thing. I guess this is in a way why we have electoral colleges, because people are uninformed and, to put it bluntly, stupid and not capable of observing details into detail and just kind of scraping the top and then thinking they're a professional in that particular field or idea or event or trend. But this has been happening for a long time. Asman is right. Like, this is not the first time this has happened. In fact, it's been happening since Citizens United. It's been happening before that. It just made it more easy for these influences to happen through corporate means with Citizens United. And take note of the name Citizens United. Wow, that sounds really nice. But that's how they kind of move papers underneath your nose with a pretty title, because most people know that majority of population essentially doesn't go into detail and just reads headlines. And that's the sad truth. So Yeah.
1933
Hasn't happened
Germany.
at all
You know,
since
Hitler
now.
did rule via executive order.
38.
Do they believe they're doing something? They believe they're doing something, yes.
Executive orders.
Just executive order after executive order. And it's unreal. It's fascism at its heart.
Heil Hitler. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with Hitler?
Yeah, Trump for emperor.
We want to downsize government but make it better.
Stop the fucking billionaires.
He's firing a lot of federal workers. Many of these folks have civil service protection, so these things are against the law.
He's in the
Yeah, that's exactly why he wants them to give the list, and that's why he put them on leave, because he needs to have them not following orders or not doing a directive in order to have cause to fire them. See, that guy actually is right, but that's the real reason why he's asking him to fill out the list, is so they have precedent to get rid of them.
arrest
Anybody
today, I
could have
hear.
seen
He's
this.
getting all of our information. They're slashing jobs.
Uh-oh.
They're slashing the Department of Education. They're slashing
Infectious disease experts, baby formula inspectors, livestock disease testers, people in the FBI, park rangers,
Yeah.
bank regulators, CDC,
We love the
drug addiction
FBI
and
now.
cancer scientists.
slashing every resources that we have.
It's kind of like we're gutting the country from the inside. Out.
Yes.
And why? Because they want to give themselves a big tax break or they destroy the middle class.
They're just trying to destroy our government, to wipe out the power of the people, and to put oligarchs in charge.
Damn.
anymore. People are rolling over, and it's like, no.
America is resisting fascism like
Oh, I forgot to unmute.
What is this
I'm
other
bad.
one? Don't be a good German?
fascism like the entire world is.
Because this system sucks. It's done by design, and what we need is a revolution. We really do.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Some of these people are really wilding out, huh? They're really going crazy, huh?
We are here live in New York City at Union Square for the anti-Elon Musk, anti-billionaire,
Nazi.
stop the coup, fuck the kings protest. We're going to talk to some people about how they feel about everything going on right now.
In this country, I have friends, I have family who are transgender.
Uplift queer, bi, POC, trans youth.
This is the weirdest thing that I've really started to observe. I've mentioned in the past that personally, I have no doubts, not doubts, no conflict with anyone that wants to live their life the way they want to live their life. You want to be gay, be gay. You want to be straight, be straight. You want to change your gender, change your gender. But when it comes to that, you better be really above 18, 21 years old. You better have gone through life enough to realize what you want to be. You can't just, it's just so weird to think that okay, queer, bi youth. I've known a lot of people that are bi when they were in high school and then they turned straight. And then I've known a lot of people that were straight in high school that turned bi. It's just how it works. You don't know what you are until you grow up. And that lack of stable decision making is really where we want to kind of think about the details there. One person that cannot make an accurate decision should not be changing their gender underneath the age of consent or the age of maturity. 18, 21, whatever value. In this case, I'd say probably 21. Being able to handle life, being able to, um, you know, whatever the case is. I don't want to talk about what you can do at 21, right? But the idea here is that you have to be mentally mature enough to make that decision because it's going to change your life forever. Now, I also messed up. I muted myself and messed up the video a little bit. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. I had something to say. Um, based on her
To destroy our government.
oligarchs destroying our government. All right, fine. My take on this is it's not happened before, ever, right? Oligarchs have never taken over. Um, not ever since maybe Citizens United, since it was easier for corporations and oligarchs to essentially put money into Congress and lobby for their own incentives. This is the problem that we go through. When things become public, people don't go into detail and they read headlines. So they make assumptions or they don't understand what they're really protesting. So, okay, sure, Elon is a billionaire. Fine, I get it. He's changing the way government functions right now. I get it. But it's kind of like the efficiency of a private sector. When you work at a job, you have to account for what work you do. You can't just sit around do nothing the whole time. So there's a case scenario where in a government, that's why kind of they say, I don't trust government as far as I can throw it, right? Or that the private sector is much more efficient, effective than the government. Because of that factor, because there's accountability, because in a private sector, your work leads to the revenue of the whole corporation. And if there's no revenue, there's no corporation. So private sector income is what really judges the person's activity and efficiency. And if you're not efficient, if you're not doing work, then you're basically gone. But in a government, all that money that they're getting paid is coming from taxpayers. That's basically a recommended, not recommended. Um, it's a money stream that is going to happen, regardless if there's no money to be made here. It's just a continuous flow of money that you're going to distribute, right? So, reoccurring stream of money that's going to happen every tax season. So that doesn't leave for incentive for those individual people working to actually be accountable for what they do. So there is a case for private sector being more effective because the work quality does affect the revenue stream, but government does not have that same functionality. That's why also government jobs are more stimulus. They're more like a stimulus to people rather than an actual job, an actual productive sector. That's one thing I wanted to mention. And then there was another one.
Them. See, that guy actually is right, but that's the real reason why he's asking them to fill out the list, is so they have precedent to get rid of them.
This is what Elon did with X, right? He gutted out like 70% of the employees that didn't do anything. And X, or Twitter, what it was, Twitter, X is doing fantastic. It saved money from all the removal of employees. And on top of that, it's actually functioning better because you can actually, as an individual, there's more features. There's Grok. There's the whole concept of um, actually making money on X as an individual that is creating content or having members that are following you for whatever reason, selling on X, advertising on X, everything that didn't exist on X today, which is a lot, like a lot of features. Because Twitter was just a wall full of text, people talking. But now it's more of a professional environment. So this is actually an effective sense. So yeah, they're gonna gut the fat from the government because there's lack of functionality for a lot of people. And I'd say maybe 60-70%.
Today, I hear he's getting all of our information. They're slashing jobs. They're slashing the Department of Education. They're slashing
infectious disease.
That's the other comment. Thinking about all of our information, it's been hacked. It's done. We've been hacked since February. I mean, we've been getting hacked for a long time, but it started with the Chinese balloon back in February 2024. I've been keeping track of it on my X as well. You can see a lot of cybersecurity maps showing some of the data based on those attacks and back and forth interaction between China, Russia, and United States, and even Ukraine has kind of like the the king of the hill situation. Like people are trying, or the countries are trying to take over Ukraine because it's probably got a very big server that connects the east to the west. So our data is basically not private anymore. I'm sorry to say, from social security numbers too. But Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, and then a bunch of infrastructure. How do you like just think about it as a hacker? How do you get information? How do you affect the infrastructure of a country? Step one, affect the cell phones, the people that, or the devices that hold passwords to maybe your office, to the power plant that you work at, to the accounting firm that you're working at, or the corporate password for modifying and doing stuff in your company's environment. Once you hack, and that was the first hack that happened, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. Once you have that info, now you have everyone's passwords. You're snooping in, listening to every single data being moved. Now you have people's passwords. Now you get into the water system, to the power system. The Boston ship is another thing that might have happened because of it. So, okay, I kind of recouped there. Back to this.
It's reversing history. You can't do that. So they might have removed the T, but they can't undo the history. That's why we're here. That's why it's important to have this flag. I'm an immigrant from Ireland. I came here because I was gay. It was a criminal offense in Ireland at the time, and I came here precisely.
Well, does he think that we want to make it illegal to be gay? Like, I don't want to make it illegal to be gay. I don't want to put you in jail.
That's the problem, right? Like, slippery slope. Like, that is an argument for many cases, but no one really wants that. It's not about the gay, it's not about the bi, it's not even about trans, really. Like, you can do whatever you want to do to yourself and your body and your choices when you're of age. But let the children be children. Don't indoctrinate them at an early age. That's really where the problem is. And most people are fine with what you want to do. You do what you want to do. Like 80% of the population is fine with what you want to do. But that same 80% has a limit to like children. They're still developing. So you got to give them a chance to figure themselves out without your indoctrinated cultural preferences. Let them develop on their own.
Who the fuck wants to put you in jail?
Because there was room here. If you were queer, if you were gay.
Yeah.
And that's an argument from emotion. There's no logical sense here. First, it's Elon basically taking apart the government to make it more efficient. Now we're talking about gay people being criminals. Why? Because he's removing money that's going to DEI to some queer play in Brazil or something. Like there was a lot of money that goes all over the world for these incentives to promote uh, gay, queer, trans stuff. But that's taxpayer money that the government's using to promote indoctrination, basically, in a foreign country. Not even, I mean, I wouldn't want it to be affecting us, but in a sense, like, that's just money not being used correctly. That's not affecting the people in a positive way. So it's not about gay, trans, or whatever. It's about efficiency of helping the citizens of the United States. They're struggling. There's so many people without a job, and layoffs are just beginning. There's a whole stream of TikTok um, videos of people recording themselves getting fired on the computer. How emotionless that is to be the person firing people without looking them in the face, just talking to a camera. This is kind of the weird progression we've gone from a work environment where you have to do an interview in person and get fired in person to basically now doing an interview on the computer and getting fired on the computer. The security of that process is very, very lack of. And it's much easier to fire people when you're not looking at them in the face.
Yeah.
Now this policy is reversing that.
President Trump keeps his promise.
Wait, no, it's not. Wait, so we're gonna make it illegal to be gay now? Holy shit! I thought that wasn't gonna happen until next year. We're ahead of schedule.
That's sarcasm, guys.
Get wokeness out of the United States Armed Forces as he signs multiple executive orders to reshape the military.
And late today at the White House, President Trump signing an executive order banning transgender women from competing in women's sports.
The administration has issued orders for hospitals, for instance, to stop providing health care for young people, for children, for adults who are transgender.
President Trump recently signed an executive order halting federal support for gender-affirming.
Yeah, by the way, the amount of people that are against, quote, gender-affirming care for minors is like 80%.
Yeah.
This isn't even like a 50-50 thing.
No.
It's like an 80% thing. And by the way, this is in America. Imagine what it's like in other parts of the world.
I mean, I'm in another part of the world, and it's there's a very standard way we look at gender when it comes to the natural form of things, where you look at nature, biology, and you see it. It's everywhere, male and female, two genders. Like, it makes me wonder, both as a citizen and as a quasi foreigner, because I live in two places, is it education that's missing from people's understanding of what gender is? Because biology tells you for a fact, a scientific fact, that you are born one or the other. Sure, there is a change in the process during birth. I think the default is female, but then the body will adjust based on the X and Y chromosomes. But like, once you're born, man. You are what you are, accept it, you know? Is it lack of education, or is it the lack of the ability to accept what you are? So is it a lack of knowledge, or is it a bad culture that's really like fueling this? But then we see it like this and we think it's a huge amount of people, but yeah, 80% of people, man, they don't want this. And it's the other 20% that are actually protesting, which is a small amount. And maybe 10 or 5% of those are actually going to be bi, queer, gay, or whatever. The other 15, 10% are going to be friends of those people and they want to support them. So they're going to do what they do, albeit, out of courtesy. But in the end, like, think about what you're doing. You're supporting an idea that potentially is a very small minority. And you're also supporting the genital mutilation of children. because they feel like they're a boy or a girl when they're 10, and that's supposed to make a decision for the rest of their life. That's the scary part. You can't expect a child to know, they can't even figure out what they want to be professionally in the future until they go to 18, 21 when they go to college. Even in college, they change their decision. So how can you be sure that their choices as a 10, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old of what they feel like in the gender world is going to even be a solid, like, forever decision? It's really not going to be. And I'm curious how many people in the future are going to start turning into videos their kind of decision making, like, oh, I was a boy and I mutilated myself and now I'm a girl, but now I feel like a boy again. Like, there's just, I feel like, an unsatisfactory or non-acceptance of the self, of what we are, and that's what's kind of running this whole cultural shift here.
Health care for people under 19
Yeah, the
years of age.
entire premise that this is somehow like this like massive crazy thing, it's nuts. It's not healthcare. I don't think it's healthcare either. I'm not in support of it either. Like my viewpoint on trans is very simple. You want to go through transition, you want to do all that, sounds great. Do it when you're 18.
Yeah, when you
That's
can
my
make
viewpoint.
decisions.
Pretty simple.
Absolutely. It's not a case of restricting it or getting it like not being lawful, illegal. It's a case of, are you sure you want to do this to yourself, because it's unchangeable. You cannot reverse this. You want to get rid of your parts, they're gone and you cannot go back. And that decision making should be done by someone that's more grown in the social sphere at 18, 21, rather than a kid that feels like they're a girl at 10 or 11 or 12. That's where the problem is.
Can you imagine being in the middle of treatment and all of a sudden a directive comes from Washington to stop that treatment? My husband...
This is appeal to emotion. This is an illogical format of discussion.
...is a pediatric hematologist oncologist. I've been inspired by him as I watched him care for children with sickle cell and with cancer. And I understand how important trials are and research. So the cuts, the directives from...
I don't think that being trans is like having cancer.
...have literally cut and threatened the life, therefore, of many children across America and young people.
The Trump administration has told federal health agencies to pause external communications.
So it's very practical. It's not just rhetoric. It literally impacts real lives, families who love their children, who care for their families.
He's acting like a king or wannabe dictator, and I think it's pathetic.
This country is moving very rapidly under Trump into an authoritarian form.
So, yeah, I'll let you guys watch the rest of it. I'm not going to go through the full 40 minutes of this video, but I'm going to just give my conclusion here. You can take a look at the actual video yourself. Let me see, let me pull it up real quick. There it is. It's the anti-Elon rally is crazy by Asmon, if you want to check the whole thing. The whole point here, oh, my face is going off the camera. The whole point here is that decision making is an important factor to anyone's life. And you have to make certain decisions in your life based on the age that you're in. And most decisions are not made by children. You have to be at least 18 to start making serious decisions in your life. Work, education, and job in the future. Reproducing. Having a gun. A license. Driving a car. Like, how are we giving kids the ability to change their gender before they can drive a car? Like, think about that. Or they can join the army. That makes no sense. Those are life-changing decisions, because a car driven in the wrong way ends your life. So a life-changing decision of changing your gender is all of a sudden less of a weight than changing the gender that you were born with. And we all just have to go back to nature. I think the main issue here is we've drifted away from nature. We've gotten to a certain point where we don't understand nature anymore and how the natural world around us works. We're not hunter and gatherers. We don't go and hunt for our food. We buy it in a box from a store. We don't understand that the food that we eat had to live and breathe at some point, and we're not as thankful as our ancestors were when they had to go through the process of killing the animal so they can eat. I've been through a situation where I had to basically kill a chicken. My grandma's farm has chickens. And to the older generations in my farm, they're like, this is easy. This is just what you do. And I'm just there, like, as a city kid, like, holy crap, it's bleeding. Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, there was a point in my life where I was that person, like, oh my God, I think I'm going to be a vegetarian. But because of the fact that now I realize, oh my God, my chicken nuggets are coming from a bunch of bloody chickens. Holy crap, there's reality. That's a hit to reality, but we don't do that. We don't see that. We don't experience that. We don't even think about that when we eat dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. The accuracy of those concepts even goes further away from the fact that it's a chicken, not a dinosaur, guys. Like, why are they shaped like dinosaurs? But that's really the factor here. We're constantly being drifted further and further away from the natural form of reality that even now biology and the two genders of our planet is falling apart. Absolutely falling apart. Um, it's sad. It's sad to see that people are really becoming a little bit more blind to Mother Nature. How much we should be thankful that we can eat. How we should potentially be like Native Americans and thank the food we're eating for existing and for giving its life so we can survive. Those are the kind of formats that make you a bit more thankful for existing. And it makes you a happier person in the end. It makes, no matter what life brings at you, you realize the basics in life is food, water, a house, a roof, and oxygen. And when we have that, we are fulfilled. The rest is just dressing and icing on the cake. So I'll end it there. I really feel like I'm probably going to edit this because I kind of messed up in the beginning there. My microphone didn't. I hope it's still going. Oh, thank God it's still going. I hate when I mess up. It's just so horrible at streaming. But that's what I like to do is I like to stream. Then if it's a good video, I'm going to go ahead and edit it and make a smaller version of it. So here goes to me editing this up to be a little bit cleaner than my streaming process. So thank you for coming in. Really do consider and think about coming back to nature, right? I'm a raccoon. Look at me. I'm a garbage panda. So we are not the only species on this earth. We are nurtured by the planet. And without the planet and the way that it functions and the way reality is, male and female reproduction, and all the other factors of losing one life to feed another, that's what makes this world go, man. It's just it's the circle of life, Lion King. So it's sad when you think about it. It's horrible to consider that, but that's just how it functions. We have to accept who we are, and we have to accept the world we live in. There's no adjusting and changing the way the world functions, the way reality is. So the only thing we can do is accept it. So I accept you guys. I hope you had a fun time today. And